What's up, guys? This is Lucid Rain. I'm here with Slyder, as always, and today we have a guest this time. Johnny. Hello.
Hello, I appreciate you having me.
So we're basically just gonna have this be a like compilation of stories from Johnny and me and Slider might sprinkle in our experiences throughout most of this, but for the most part this is a guest story episode. So yeah, I guess you can start wherever you want to start. What's something that happened to you that was interesting,
Uh,
creepy, or whatever?
well, all right, I'm from Maysville, Kentucky, which is probably about an hour and a half south of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
It's just a little rural town, but back in the 80s, there was a hospital called Haysewood. It's shut down now. It's been shut down for a while, and the building's still there. They never did tear it down, because it falls into that if it's 100 years old and it's a historical marker or whatever. But
Right.
as growing up, we would all go in there and kind of explore at night. Well, I don't know, it's when I was like 22, 23 years old. The what do you call it, where all the babies are kept at, the OBGY ward or whatever.
I'm not
Um
sure.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we was up there looking around, and there was this woman, walking down the corridor. She was crying and screaming for help,
What the
you
fuck?
know, to help her baby. And you know how abandoned buildings are, and like with the homeless population, you're going to find homeless people if you have homeless in your
Right.
area in
Yeah.
abandoned buildings. So I thought it was that. So we were trying to calm her down and everything, and we went outside to call 911, because we legit thought, there was a baby in trouble. Well, us and the cops, we went back in to where she was at. We're like, well, she was right here, but she ain't now. So they searched around, couldn't find her. Well, later that night, I was kind of messing around on the internet, and uh, I came across this story with Hayeswood Hospital. Back before it closed down, there was a woman there with black hair that had a stillborn, and she was running down the corridor screaming for help to help her baby because it wasn't breathing.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it tripped me the hell out, man,
That's
after I read that story.
What
that's wild.
what
Alright,
did that
It,
realization feel like when you're like, well, that's what I just fucking seen?
Well, at first, man, I just stared at the screen because I was in total disbelief. Like I've always, been into the paranormal side. I believe in it. Like I'm a real believer, even before that experience. But before that experience, it was just little tidbits here and there that, like an orb or something I couldn't explain. But a full on apparition to where I can explain every detail on the face, the hair, her body weight, size, everything, and then read about it on the internet that it was a past patient that her baby had died, and she had died, like, I think hours later from internal injuries.
that's crazy. So are you pretty certain that that is the same woman, or do you think that could possibly be a coincidence of some kind?
No, 100%, because the details that I saw matched the details in the story.
Okay.
I mean, word for word, for what she was doing, for what she was wearing, to the hair color, everything. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
there,
wild.
there's no, like, oh no, it's just a coincidence. There's no
Okay.
way possible.
Were you close to
And
her, this woman? Like, would you actually you got like a pretty good look of her,
well,
it sounds.
I was within like 3 feet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
Did you try and interact with her at all?
yeah. I told her that I'll try to help her and I'll call the cops, and she just looked at me, and I ran out real quick, and I called. Because, like I said, I thought, like a homeless lady had a baby and like something was wrong.
Right, yeah.
But then we couldn't find her. Like, we searched that whole ward, everything. She was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that's insane. Especially
Yeah,
since the
and then
details match up so accurately. That is really weird.
no, it was. And apparently, like, I'm not the only one that's like had a run-in with her. There's been several other people,
Oh,
you
really?
know, yeah, that's had the same run-in with this woman. Like, I wasn't the only one. And then I think like a couple weeks later, we went back in and we went in the basement because in the basement's where they did the autopsies and they had the morgue and everything there, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Of course, they took the tables out and and everything. But they still had the slabs. I guess you could say they slid into the wall like the freezer slabs.
Yeah.
And now, mind you, this is in the middle of the summer, and I mean it's hot as hell, man. I mean, like you're just pouring sweat while we were in there.
Oh god.
And I was in the morgue, didn't see nothing, but the temperature went from me sweating to like ice cold to where I'm shivering, and then it went snapped right back to like me sweating and really hot, back to ice cold, like shivering, like I had to put a coat on, shivering.
Damn. That's a pretty common thing you hear when people encounter so like a ghostly presence. That they a lot of the time they'll say like it suddenly just got really cold, and it's always cold. I don't know if you've seen it
Yeah,
otherwise. It's never like it gets hot. It's always it gets cold when I've
right.
heard
But
stories
this
like that.
wasn't like a suddenly cold. Like this went from one extreme to the other, back to the other.
Yeah, there's no like rational explanation to explain that kind of extreme. Because if it if it was a slight thing, you could write it off as like, yeah, I don't know, I got a chill or there was a breeze or something. But if it's one extreme to the other, you can't. I mean, that doesn't really work, right? Like,
No, I mean I didn't think it was, but yeah, no, it was insane. And it's just like I've got video where, and you can find the same video on YouTube that like, is standing outside the hospital, and you can see this, like all you can see is like a head, like a face figure that's all distorted in the second story middle window, just looking at you, then it
what
disappears.
what is
And
that on?
what's this hospital called again?
It's called Haysewood Hospital. It's like Hayswood.
Where did you see that? Someone like peeking through a window or something? What was that? Was that Google Earth or something?
No, no, this is a video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a video. You can, like I said, you can pull it up on YouTube. It's Hayeswood Hospital, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff that goes on in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll probably get some footage if it's if it's like good footage. I'll definitely put that in the video.
Yeah, no, it's super clear. Like it's in black and white because whoever shot it at night, and
Right.
but you can clearly see. Like you can't see a body, you don't see like hair, you just see a face,
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
that's it. I mean, there's like I said, there's all kinds of crazy stuff, and then just like I did 11 plus years on the river, and you can try to tell me whatever, but I'm firmly believe that the river is the most haunted place in the world, any river segment, because there's just
So
the amount of
just
mass.
rivers in general? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
there's a thing about spirits and water and like shit moving through water and paranormal experiences connecting with that, so it makes a lot of sense.
Right. And just like let's take the Ohio River for example. I've had a lot of experiences there. There's been, through the centuries since Maysville and Ohio has been cities, there's, been murders and suicides and everything else in the river. But like for instance, like one night, see, I worked on the barges, and we have what's called a cover top barge, which is this big plastic like dome thing that goes over the top of the barge to protect the product that's inside from like rain, snow, sleet, whatever.
Right.
And I'm on the head of tow, which is 1,000 feet out from the boat. All right, no more, no less, 1,000 feet. And it's at night, and the boat's got its spotlight shining over the cover tops of where I'm at. All right, you can't see me, you can't see my shadow. Like I'm completely blocked by the cover top. And I had one guy out there with me. We're always messing around with each other. Just trying to pass the days out there because we were out there for 21 days at a time. And this was in Cincinnati at Miami Fort, the coal power plant there along the river, and I'm tightening up a wire on the head of tow. Well, the spotlight's shining over me, and I see this huge shadow, like silhouette of a person that's overcasted me. I can like just look straight down. I can see this whole silhouette of this person. Well, I look back and there's nobody standing on the cover top. Then I look back down at the deck, but I can see the silhouette, and it's not mine because I'm moving around and the shadow's not moving. It's just
Right.
standing
Yeah.
there. And I thought it was a guy that I was working with screwing with me, but he was 600 feet back from where I was. And then I look over, and then there's this random, like, silhouette of a person standing on the riverbank. And then he just, one minute he's there, next minute he's not. Like, I mean, besides, that runner Bolt, I don't know anybody else who can move that fast.
Yeah. So are you saying like it you said earlier like you thought it wasn't your shadow, right? Did it look like a shadow or did it look like someone standing there? Like just like an
No,
actual silhouette.
No, it looked like an actual silhouette, just like
Okay.
like when I say silhouette, like it was on the deck, like somebody was standing in the beam of the spotlight.
Oh right.
Type
Okay,
shadow,
I see.
getting casted. That's why I knew it wasn't mine because I was moving around, but the shadow itself wasn't moving.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
it's. And then I've been on boats where like this one boat I was on, the captain had died on the boat, and he always smoked cherry cigars. And they said a bunch of weird stuff would happen, but I just kind of brushed it off. I was new on the river at the time. I just thought it was just something to freak somebody out.
Yeah, right.
Well, my bunk door would swing open and the light would kick on, but there wasn't nobody there. And then you would smell cherry cigars all the way through the boat.
Oh,
And then you would
that's
see
crazy.
somebody walking around the deck, but then they wouldn't be nobody out there.
That's
And they
crazy.
said it was their captain messing with people.
Were they just the people that had been there already? Are they kind of just used to it, or were they scared too?
No, they were just cool with it,
Oh, I guess this
Yeah,
is
they're
something
just like, oh,
like
dude.
I mean, if something like that persists for a while, I guess you would get used to it, just like anything, I guess. But like, I've never had been in a situation where there was a persistent like presence, so I wouldn't know. But I guess you would get used to it. I don't know.
Right.
It's a weird
I
thing
mean,
to think
I don't
about.
know if I would. It is a weird thing to think about. But from all the stuff that I've seen, man, they're like nobody can sit there and convince me otherwise that there's not, something on the other side
Yeah, right.
of the stuff that I've seen. Like there's no way. It's just like I've played like when I think I was like 13, we were playing with a Ouija board one night, and all of a sudden like the lights went out in the room, and then you just hear this voice that says God can't help you now, and then the
Oh,
lights come back on.
God.
Yeah, it was scary. And I was like 12 or 13 at the time when that happened.
Voices are always like that gets to me, like basically every time.
All it got to me. I haven't touched a Ouija board since.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean
oh,
that's
you were just
probably
on
a
Ouija
traumatic
board.
experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I grew up around a bunch of graveyards, so we pretty much spent like every night fucking around the graveyard, and weird shit would happen. You would see trees change shape. Like there was a tree that got struck by lightning, and it would turn into a cross, and like just wild shit. You would go into like the little outkeeper's like house, and all the paintings in there would follow you, and like obviously we probably shouldn't have been like playing in the graveyard every night. It's kind of disrespectful, but like
So you think
wild
I
shit
get it.
wild shit happens when you're around death.
yeah, I guess when you're in those kind of environments where death is present, like I mean, yeah, it's like you hear a lot of the time about stuff happening in those places. I guess it's just like obviously we don't know like basically anything about like ghosts and otherworldly presences and shit like that. But I mean, maybe they can't leave where they're buried or where they died or something like that. Maybe that's why those areas are hot spots, because they can't leave for whatever reason. I don't know.
Right. No, I can get behind that. But I mean, it's just like that girl at Haysewood. As far as I know, He's still there. I haven't went back in. I mean, not saying I wouldn't, because I definitely would, but
Right.
I definitely have a camera with me. I'd have to have the
Yeah.
camera with me.
Oh yeah, I'd for sure have a camera on hand.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean that hospital's even been on is a TV show. I think like Ghost Adventures or something like that.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's been on TV. I mean, if you like, I would highly recommend you going in there. I mean, I would do it at night, especially, like after the towns kind of went to sleep, so the cops ain't out as thick, because it is
Right.
trespassing, but they're not
Yeah,
going to do
yeah.
nothing to you because it's a common occurrence.
Right.
But I would definitely be careful, just because of the asbestos, and like I found like an open hole in a concrete floor in the courtyard. It's probably got like a 5 to 10 foot drop. I mean, it's an easy ankle buster, but I would definitely suggest you go in there.
I probably would. Yeah, if given the
I mean,
chance, yeah, I probably would do something like that.
you got it. 10 out of 10. You gotta go, because something's gonna happen. Like, I put money on it.
It's that kind of hot spot. Like you're most likely going to experience something, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're going to experience something. It's like I experienced the woman, the extreme hot and cold in the morgue. I mean, there's just all. I mean, what are those little meters that they got that sense electrical impulses, EMPs or whatever?
Yeah, I think that's it. EMS meters.
If you had one of them, I guarantee you it would fry itself, because it would go so crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, this thing is a breeding ground of spirits.
Yeah, I've never been in a place that has like that much activity. Like I've seen like activity happen here and there, but I've never been to a place where it's like, yeah, like something's most likely going to happen, like more than a 50% chance. I've never been somewhere like that, so I feel like the air in places like that would just feel off.
Oh, it's definitely off.
Does
like you can
feel like static electricity in the air?
Man, it's been so long since I've been in there. I couldn't tell you yes, or I couldn't tell you no. I guess it's been a while since I've been in there. But now I kind of want to go back to see if it's staticky.
Is that like a thing that people report? I don't know if I've ever heard that.
Well, I mean, usually you get goosebumps, your hair stands up on end, like.
Right.
The only goosebumps I got really was when it went from that extreme cold to hot, back to cold, back to hot. But I think that was more, oh, I got a cold chill type thing. It got real cold.
It's crazy because sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was you gonna say?
I was gonna say, so you had you saw something, and also it was visual and auditory. Like you were literally in the talking to that woman or whatever, right? I've never had both. For me, everything I've experienced has been either it's auditory or it's visual, but never both, which is strange.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing, is I've always had one or the other, but no, I legit thought that this was, like a homeless woman that gave birth in this abandoned hospital. Like, I didn't, that's what I thought I thought it was a person. I didn't know that it was a spirit until, I read a story about her online.
What was she wearing?
I can't really.
Was it like a hospital gown?
I'm wanting to say it was a hospital gown, but I'm not 100% on that. But I'm wanting to say it was a hospital gown. But I know what really got me was she was carrying her baby. Like, she was cradling it in her arms. Like, not like you hold like the head up by your shoulder. Like, it was like she was like cradling it.
Jeez.
And she was frantic. She was, yelling for help my baby, help my baby.
That I'd be scared, to begin with. Even before knowing that that was likely not an actual person that's there, that still would creep me out, I think. You're in a dark place in the middle of the night, and you hear someone wailing about their baby, that would creep me out. I mean, I would probably investigate for sure, but I'd be like, what the hell's going on?
And we didn't see her until we flipped our lights down the corridor. And then that's when we saw her, coming towards us.
Yeah, that's wild.
But like I said, I thought it was a person. I didn't know any different until I read that story. And I mean, it's a good page or two that you can find on it.
Yeah, what is that called again? Because I'm probably gonna look that up later.
It's called Haysewood Hospital in
Okay.
Maysville, Kentucky.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't expect, if you've ever been to Maysville, you're like, oh man, nothing ever crazy happens here. It's a quiet town, retirement town. And then you got this abandoned hospital that sits downtown, tucked on the side of a hillside.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's all this crazy stuff that happens.
Like just in that area, or just in the hospital? Like specifically?
With me, it was just in the hospital,
Okay.
but the old Maysville Bridge is at the bottom of the street of Market Street because the way it is like Maysville used to be a port, like a shipping port, and Haysewood Hospital sits up at the top of the street, and then you got the river and the old bridge at the bottom of the street. Now, the old bridge is said to have a lot of apparitions and stuff because apparently back in the day where the old bridge is at is where the Ku Klux Klan used to kill people and then dump their bodies.
Oh, okay.
So the story goes that I've always heard growing up that was a popular dumping ground in that part of the river. And I've heard of people, seeing people in how can I say it, outdated clothes that are not from this century, like
Right.
like older style clothes.
Yeah.
Walking and pacing the riverbank. Just crazy stuff like that. I've never had an experience down by the river. I fished there all my life. Never seen anything, but the hospital is a different story. I mean, it's a whole different beast altogether.
I think it really says something about how like haunted somewhere is if you go there one time and the very first time you go there you see something. Because
Oh yeah.
like if I don't know, a lot of places you're like you can say just any old place that's supposedly haunted, not like crazy haunted, just a place locally you're like, yeah, this place is haunted. There's I've heard people saying like, oh well, I went there and I didn't see anything. But like for some people they go there and they do see something. So it's like if a place is very haunted, I think it really says something that you just instantly saw something when you the first time you go there, just immediately.
Oh, let me put it to you this way, man. I can give you a comparison. I don't know if you're familiar with like haunted places in Kentucky, but
Not really.
there's an insane asylum in Louisville called Waverly Hills.
Waverly Hills. Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Waverly Hills. All right. They do haunted tours there. They take you down a shaft, down, a flight of stairs, and it's got concrete slabs on the sides are real slick, and at the bottom is just a concrete slab. And they would slide the dead bodies down those sides of those steps, and there's a mass grave underneath that concrete slab for the tuberculosis, because they had a tuberculosis ward back in the day. And I think it's like room 316 or something that you'll have, that they say like a nurse hung herself, and like people take pictures and say they got something. Like, this is a well-renowned haunted spot. Everybody's heard of it.
Right.
I would put Haysewood above that any day of the week and ask somebody to change my mind.
Oh wow.
I mean, I went to Waverly Hills. I didn't see nothing, didn't feel nothing, didn't feel anything out of place. It just felt like a normal abandoned building hospital to me. But you walk into Haysewood and you're not comfortable. You're consistently on edge for some reason. You're always looking, you're always turning around looking behind you, like there's something, like you feel like there's somebody watching you at all times.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's just the kind of mood that you get into as soon as you step foot into that place.
Yeah,
it's just like your guard is instantly
Yeah.
But like I said, nothing bad happens to anybody in there.
Well, I feel like nothing bad usually happens to people just simply going somewhere that's like, has a presence, but I mean, besides like people getting cursed and shit like that, I think that's like a different thing though, kind of. So
Right. Like I've never heard of something, attaching to somebody
yeah,
and
and
leaving with them or
yeah,
anything like
like
that
bringing
coming
them
out of
home or
Haysewood.
something. Yeah, that's scary.
Right.
If I have heard that before, but not very often, thankfully. So I hope that that's just not real, because that's the scariest thing. Imagine going somewhere that has a presence, and the presence attaches to you and comes like home with you. That's horrifying.
Now, see, I did get bad luck one time on me because of something similar like that. I went down to New Orleans and we were messing around in a graveyard. Like I wouldn't say messing around, but we took a tour, it was like a haunted tour or whatever.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, this is Marie Laveau's grave," and they're like, "This is the real one." I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not the real one. I've read it online. It's a fake. The real one's, over here or whatever." And like I said, I legit thought it was a fake, and I probably shouldn't have done what I did, but I did it anyways. I mean, I was young and dumb. They was this really cool, and people would leave like little Mentos on her grave for good luck, like seashells, coins, dollar bills, whatever. And there's this really cool seashell, and I picked it up and put it in my pocket. It was laying beside the grave headstone. And I say for like a good 6 months after that, man, I had the worst luck
Damn,
possible.
that's
I
crazy.
mean, yeah. I mean, like anything bad could happen would happen.
Well, that's essentially an altar, man. You can't be taking shit off of altars.
Well, see, it wasn't
know.
on the altar. It was laying beside it. Like, I don't know if it like fell off or like somebody dropped it. I just looked down like, oh, there's a really cool seashell. So I just picked it up, not thinking, and put it in my pocket. And like I said before, they were really notorious about taking you to a fake grave, like her fake grave. Like they wouldn't ever take you to the real one. But they said, "Oh, we're taking you to the real one today." So I didn't believe it. And I saw this really cool seashell on the ground. I picked it up. So, but I learned my lesson on that. Never do that again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say stuff like that's kind of like
There's
sacred in a way.
I don't know if you're familiar with this mountain in Australia, but there's this mountain in Australia where people will take rocks off, and like it's a famous spot for people like tourists sending the rocks back because they disturb the rocks on that mountain, and it brings them misfortune, and they always send the rocks back, and it's like a common thing where they're like,
Yeah.
don't take shit because it's gonna like end badly for you.
Yeah, where's
Where's
that at? That mountain?
It's in Australia.
Okay, yeah, I do know that story. That's wild that they actually like they got it so bad that they literally had to return the rocks because it wouldn't end otherwise. It's insane.
But see, here was the weird thing though. That seashell disappeared. I never could find it like a day later. Like I don't know if I misplaced it. I don't know. Something happened to it. Not saying like it just like vanished, but I never did see that shell again. It was gone.
Yeah,
and it was probably about the size of the palm of your hand. Like it was a good sized shell. Like you wasn't just gonna like set it up and then not be able to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially you said like the next day or something, right?
Yeah, it was a couple of days later. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't
that's
maybe
not
say
that
it was
long
like
of a
the
time.
next day. No,
Yeah.
it might have been like 48 to 72 hours later. Like I just couldn't find it anymore. It wasn't in my travel bag. It wasn't in my book bag. I didn't set it on the entertainment center or the mantle. Like I just couldn't find it.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, so I mean, to this day, I don't know where it is. And since then I've moved from like 2 different places, but even with me clearing out a whole home, you would think I would run across it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you think so, right?
Yeah, you would definitely think so.
But
I mean,
no, go ahead.
But I mean, I don't know. Do you guys know anything about skinwalkers?
Yeah, we're both pretty familiar with them.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I'm not too familiar on skinwalkers, but obviously, like West Virginia is like known for skinwalkers. I mean, I guess, there was a tribe there, back in the day or something. I don't know. But we were all, just, I do a lot of trail riding in the summertime, or I used to, and we were in West Virginia and we were camping out, along the trail and everything. And we found this big, I don't even know what you would call it. It looked like a shield made out of like wood that I'm 5'8". This was probably like 10 foot tall, just out in the middle of nowhere, and it had this big circle, on it, like made into it, obviously. And it just looked just like this big, like half a wall looking thing. Like I could draw it for you, but I couldn't. I don't really know how to describe it. It was made out of wood.
Right.
Just whatever was laying around the woods. And later that night, we set up camp and we kept hearing this. I don't want to say it was a voice. It was kind of like really distorted, but you can make out like the word help.
Yeah,
and
one thing
some-
skinwalkers are super famous for is mimicking people's voices
Right. Yeah.
and like asking for help and trying to lure people out into the woods and shit. And I've heard so many stories of the Appalachians where it's like you hear stuff in the woods, you don't look outside your house when you live in the woods, you don't go in the woods at night, you don't whistle at night, like.
Oh yeah, that's like growing up. We were always told to be back in the house before dark. Never open the blinds or the shades after dark. Do not whistle in the woods. Do not whistle if you hear whistling. Uh, just basically just ignore whatever sound that you're hearing. We've always taught that growing up, because I grew up at the foot of the Appalachians, so
So you were in a
we
more
heard all
rural
that
area.
growing. Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a
And
lot of shit going on out there in those places.
oh man, dude, yeah. Then we went to West Virginia and we heard this voice like screaming for help, right? And we were all camping, and it was me, my brother, and a buddy of ours, and we were all, me and my brother were sharing a tent, and it woke us all up, but we didn't leave our tents. And then like 15 minutes later, you could hear something like breathing and then walking around the campsite. It didn't disturb the tent. It didn't, try to get in or nothing like that. And then the next morning, we didn't get no sleep. Obviously, the next morning we got up and left the tents, and you see these footprints that was like almost like an animal / human foot, like the ball, like the heel was definitely like almost humanoid, and then it kind of like went into like an animal track where it had like like the claws, like, or the toenails for the toenails or whatever.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so, it kind of like shifted into that. But that was in West Virginia, and everybody's like, oh, that was Skinwalker. I've never seen a Skinwalker. That was really I want to say the only time I really had an encounter of it. But I mean, other than growing up, you would be out in the woods, like it'd be getting dusky dark, and I'd be in the deer stand, and you would hear just this random whistling, like, behind you, or, something like that. But, you'd always hear that, and you was always told to ignore it. But then some people are like, oh, that's a skinwalker. Then, you always had the midnight whistle. They're called the Midnight Whistler clan. I don't know if you ever heard of them or not.
I don't think so.
Or familiar. All right, the Midnight Whistler clan is actually a clan of Bigfoot. There's several different clans. Like the Grassman is one, the Midnight Whistler, the Stone Giant, which the Stone Giant, he's just like he's caked clay on him, and it's hardened to like rock. But obviously it's just dry clay. And you got, I think there's like 9 or 10 clans, and the Midnight Whistler is one of them. Like they'll all start whistling to communicate, and some say that's the Midnight Whistlers.
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
Oh man, yeah. There's different clans of them, and like I was in is this past June 19th of this year. It was me, my cousin, my son, and his son, and they were about 7 years. My son was 7, his son was 6, or a year apart. And we're sitting at the campsite, and it's 10 o'clock, between 10 and 11 o'clock. All right. And I'm by a campfire. Me and my cousin's talking. I'm having a beer. Now I've only had one beer at this time, and I've always been really comfortable in the woods. I've hunted everything that you can think of. It's just how I was brought up.
Right.
And you'd hear the ducks, swimming because we were camped right along the Red River Gorge. So you'd hear the ducks swimming. They were, quacking, whatnot. And I'd shine a light over and see them swimming. And I seen a fox. There's a couple foxes running around. Probably looking for an easy meal with the ducklings, the goslings, or whatever. And then all of a sudden, everything went quiet. The ducks shut up. They went to roost. They disappeared. The foxes vanished. It was like eerie quiet. And I got nervous, man. I got real nervous.
Yeah, that's a phenomenon that's been well documented. I forget what they call it. I think it's literally called eerie silence phenomenon, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it'll be places that are typically like bustling with life and sounds and birds, whatever, and it'll just suddenly become nearly silent and just be very quiet. And that just sounds, I don't know why that sounds creepy necessarily, but that's just, it's just off-putting. Like,
it gets better. It gets better. If we're sitting there, and like I said, everything leaves, disappears. You don't hear nothing. All you hear is a river running, and it's a shallow part of the river. And all of a sudden, man, I just got this putrid smell, and then there was a big splash in the river. And I shined my light, and there was this massive rock right in the middle that wasn't there before, because we've been camped out there for like 3 days at this point.
Right.
And that rock hadn't been there. And you hear this big splash, and then there's this rock, and then you see another one. And then all of a sudden, it clicks in my head, just like a light bulb, whenever I hear 3 tree knocks, a scream, 3 more tree knocks, a scream, and then I hear something walking probably about 50 yards into the wood line right there along the river. And you just feel something like burning a hole through you, just staring at you the whole time.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And it was, I'm 100% sure it was a Bigfoot right then, right there, with the tree knocks, the howls, the screams, the rocks, the wildlife disappearing. And then I think there's a place, it's called like Indian something. It's a trail, and it leads you up on top of this hill, and it's not very far from where I was camped at. It's like apparently like a hot spot of people that's like seen Bigfoot.
What did the scream or what the sound like? Like, did it sound like it could have come from a human, or was it more animalistic?
No, it was 100% animalistic. Like this. Okay. Like if somebody tried to scream like this, their vocal cords would be shot within a matter of minutes.
Okay.
And then like the howls was low and deep. Like I couldn't make them. I mean, it wasn't human, like at all. And I'm a firm believer in Bigfoot, like 100%. I've tried, and since that thing, I've went out and I've hunted him, and I've never had another experience like that. I mean, it was wild.
I think they're just very intelligent. I think that's why it's hard to, for one, hunt them. I mean, of course that's hard, but it's also hard to get concrete like evidence of them. I think because I think they're just very, very smart. That's my theory. Because people are always like, well, how come all the footage is blurry or whatever? And it's like, I mean, they probably know how to avoid people. Like, they've been, because when you think about it, they've been living along, if they're real, of course, they've been living alongside us for who knows how long. So they know our mannerisms and what we do, but we don't know what they do. So, well,
that's the thing, is that like a lot of people don't understand about it, is that it's just like, all right, let's take gorillas and chimpanzees for example. They'll mimic traits of other animals and adapt it into their own traits, to learn the environment. So who can sit there and say that Bigfoot ain't doing the same?
Right. Yeah.
And people, there's this, it's something Sanders. I can't remember his name. He's way back in the day. He was a cryptic hunter. He hunted Bigfoot, the Abominable Snowman, Chupacabra, the Chris, what was that one you told me, the werewolf one?
Oh, the
I
dog
can't-
man probably.
The dog man, yeah, he hunted the
yeah.
dog man. And the one thing that really stuck out to me with the Bigfoot was he firmly believed that which is littered in the Appalachia, that Bigfoot reside and travel underground and only come topside at night to hunt.
I'd believe it. I mean,
Makes sense. Here's the thing. So there's one case of this kid. I think he was like a 3-year-old that vanished and was in the woods, and they ended up finding him like a week later. But he survived, and like the story that the kid said is something literally protected him and watched him, and like he ended up being like 15 miles away from where he got
Are you
lost. It was
talking
like a
about
3-year-old kid.
Yeah, you're talking about that redheaded kid
Yeah.
that disappeared, and then apparently, like when they found him, he was in different clothes, and
I remember
You know,
that
like,
story.
yeah, and like apparently, like they changed him clothes and everything. Yeah, I remember that story. I can't remember where it was at.
I think they also said like for the amount of time he was gone, like when they actually found him, they tried to offer him food and like he wasn't hungry, which is weird because like I don't know how long was he gone for, Chris? Do you know?
I think he was gone
It was a
couple,
couple.
like
it was a few days.
several days.
Yeah, it was a few
Yeah.
days, right? And I'm
he,
pretty sure that's
he was
how
a
it
little
was.
kid, and he was like miles and miles away. Like, there's no way that he would have been able to walk himself,
No, yeah, no chance.
like where he was.
Oh no,
Especially
he
not
was
a
100%
kid.
carried. Yeah, I mean he was carried. He didn't walk it. And then like you got like with that, like people like came out and said like, oh, that's not your child, that's something else. Like they try to like put out pictures where like it doesn't even look like him. Like he's got this.
That's creepy. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, like
it's
like
a scary photo. But you got to think
Yeah.
that kid's probably traumatized. He was
Yeah.
lost in the woods
For
for
days.
several
Right.
days, and probably something was protecting him. Who's to say what that was?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, he's easily traumatized. If people are saying he looks different, I mean, I'd argue that that's why. I mean, he went through something horrible. I mean, getting lost is bad enough for a kid, of course, but being lost in the woods, that's 10 times worse. Because there's no one to
yeah.
there's no one to go to be like, hey, can you help me find my parents or something like that. There's none of that. You're just lost in the woods. You're on your own. So like, he definitely was just traumatized. I don't see why it's like him looking different is even an argument. I think that's just nonsense.
It is nonsense, and like you can obviously tell he was in shock. Like his eyes were like
Yeah.
big as like quarters. His hair was all messed up. He just had this like 1,000-yard stare on him.
Yeah.
I mean, and like he was young. Like he was like kid. He wasn't he was like a toddler.
Yeah. Very young.
But yeah, but no, back to the with the whole Bigfoot thing is like 100% they travel underground, and the only reason why people see them above ground is the same reason why the increase of deer population people see during November. Every animal, even the human race, has a mating season, and that's what brings them above ground is our mating season, and that's
Right.
why people get these distorted pictures of them, because they're on the move.
Yeah. Right. That does make sense.
I'm like, and I'd put money within the next year. I'm hoping to have some kind of proof of him, just whether it be like a hair sample or a photograph or a video, of some sort of
Right. Yeah.
of the encounters that I've had and where at. I mean, I know the layout. It's getting it.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
just it's hard to do with one person, but.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like I said, I've had a lot of crazy experiences in the Appalachia, on the river, even in my hometown. Like, there's a lot of activity.
That's the thing with Bigfoot stuff is like people get what they call evidence and stuff. I mean, they're usually like like they're blurry or they're far away or whatever, but it's like, I mean, it'd be hard to capture something like that, and I don't think
Most of
people.
those things play with electromagnetic fields and shit anyway, and like they're only gonna let you see them if they want you to see
Yeah,
them.
exactly. That's what I'm
Type
saying.
shit,
I think
you know?
that goes back to them just being intelligent. I think they know what we do. We don't know what they do. Like I said, so like,
Right.
it makes sense
Yeah,
that
they-
we wouldn't see them.
And they've observed it, so they're taking our habits and routine, and they're making it their own. They're blending it in with what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, gorillas do the same. People do the same with other people. Chimpanzees. I mean, they're not dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But and with the blurry
primates are just smart in
photos,
general.
well, yeah, they are. And it's just like with the blurry photos. Yeah, it's going to be blurry because when you see it all at once, and you're not thinking, "Oh, I got to get my camera."
Right. Yeah. I mean, first of all, you're probably looking at it. You're probably looking
Have you,
at the thing and not your screen for the most part.
Have-
Anyway.
Have you thought about
Right.
setting up trail cameras anywhere? Like
Well,
that you've
see,
had
man,
experiences and
Well, see, here's the thing. I just recently got in trail cameras. See, the other trail cameras, they would be kind of hard to set up because you have to go back within 7 days and pull an SD chip. And with today's economy, it's just not, plausible with the gas prices because
Right.
it'd be a far drive to the gorge. But, everywhere else, yeah, I can do it. But I got these trail cameras in. They're actually pretty cool. You can set them up, and I can set it up on Mount Everest and then come back home to Cincinnati and look at pictures on my phone because it pings off a satellite and it transfers the images to your phone.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're really cool, and a lot of your deer hunters are doing that, so they don't got to travel back and forth and pull SD cards. And that's how I got it. But I just got in. I put a thermal scope on my rifle. I'm not saying I'm going to shoot him and kill him because I'm not going to be the sole responsible for Bigfoot's extinction because I don't know how many are there. But
Yeah.
it's something easy for me to see. I've got thermal. They're like range finders, but you can take pictures and videos with them. And it's got this like really big screen you just look into, and you can like snapshot or video or whatever. I got 2 of those. I ordered night vision nods, so I can see. But the one thing that I did pick up on tip wise is if you're going to go out at night and look for him, use thermal, not infrared. Is the one thing that I did learn.
I don't really know the difference between thermal and infrared.
Thermal is your, if I'm right, infrared is your black and white. Yeah, I think so.
thermal picks up on body heat.
I thought they both were body heat though.
No, your thermal is your red. Is like anything that's hot glows red. Okay, but if you take a thermal into the woods, it's all red because your tree holds heat, your rocks hold heat, your ground holds heat, your leaves hold heat. Everything's just gonna be red. But the other one is black and white, so it only picks up extreme temperatures. Like your trees are going to be black, your rocks are going to be black, but your animals, your humans, your Bigfoot, whatever else is going to be white.
Okay.
So it's easier to use that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you're not getting all this other feedback in your lens.
Right. Yeah.
So I bought all this stuff, to do this with.
Have you set up any cameras, or has this not happened yet?
No, it hasn't happened yet. Like I said, I just got my cameras in the other day.
Oh, okay.
So I'm planning on I'm off work on Thanksgiving, so I'm probably going to travel out and put some stuff up over Thanksgiving, and then let it set, and then check it within like 7 days and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, one thing I'm definitely going to do is called a hair snag. And I'm just going to stretch up a piece of barbed wire between 2 trees around the camera. And basically, barbed wire, you run into it, you're going to leave like a bit of skin or, hair, whatever. It's not going to hurt an animal. It's just going to take some hair samples. So I'm going to put that, I want to cover all my bases. But like you said, they're smart. They're not stupid.
Yeah, I think it's obvious that they're really smart.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen instances where cameras have been, smashed off trees.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean,
I mean,
there's a reason like we don't have good evidence of them.
no, yeah,
And then
but
night photos specifically, like those are pretty much always like deemed fake. But like the thing is, even modern like phones, they're still not good at footage. It's going to be
right,
blurry and grainy. Like your phone will try and increase the brightness of a dark area, but it's still gonna come out grainy and not very good, even with a modern 2024 phone. So you really do need like legitimate cameras that can actually
right.
capture. But when you get down to it, how many people in the world are carrying expensive cameras? Like, not the average person isn't carrying around a $100 camera on them all the time. So
Right, and
that
that's
just
what I like
contributes.
about this. Right, that's what I like about this one I got. It looks like a rangefinder, like an oversized rangefinder, and you can do like video or you can do pictures. You know, it just depends on what button you hit. But if you take a picture, it's like a shutter shot it takes 3 photos in 3 seconds each time you click it,
Okay.
and it's for moving objects that you can get a
Right.
clear picture of. So I'm hoping that works out for me. But who knows? It could be a total bust, and I'm sure it will be for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be foolish to go into it and to expect like instant results. So you probably just gotta, I don't know, wait a little while and just test your luck with it, I guess.
Right. I mean, I'm going to do that, and I definitely want to go back to Haysewood. I don't really want to go back alone, but I will if I
Well,
had to.
I wouldn't want to do it alone
call,
either.
call me up on that one, I guess.
Yeah, you can go with me, man. I mean, I'm telling you, you're going to have some sort of experience with that one.
I would totally go with you guys. I gotta come down there again at some point.
Yeah, when you come due, man, you got to go. I'll take you.
Yeah,
I mean,
I definitely want to, and probably at night.
no, the night
Right?
times, like I said, you really want to go at night because you don't want like somebody like calling it in, like, oh, I seen a group
Yeah,
of guys
yeah.
going to Hayeswood type
Right.
thing. Like I said, they're not going to do nothing to you because it's like a really common occurrence. Like you're just gonna be like, hey, don't do that again.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I mean, you're definitely going to get something on footage, whether it be an apparition. It could be that woman again. It could be anything.
That's really all I want out of like a paranormal experience. I just want like tangible, like something tangible I can actually look at and show people, because obviously people have a hard time believing stuff when there's nothing to show them. So even if it's a picture, even if it's a blurry one, it's still something, right?
But no, yeah,
So
it's still something. But you like if you come up and do it, you've got to check out the OGBYN ward where that woman was.
yeah, I definitely would. Maybe
I mean,
maybe we can plan that out sometime. Well, we're at about an hour, so we can wrap up. But do you guys have anything more to add? Any final closing thoughts? Anything?
I mean, other than there's something on the other side. There's
Yeah.
another, that definitely
Yeah,
exists.
I think if there's one thing to take away from this episode is that, like, I mean, the three of us definitely lean heavily toward there being another side. So
Oh yeah, 100%.
you could probably know that from the first 5 minutes, but yeah, I mean, I'm curious if anyone's like, people, when you're that confident in something like that, people kind of get on your ass for that sometimes. So
Oh yeah.
we'll see what happens with that, but I don't plan on budging on that, clearly.
No, not at all.
But yeah, if I assume you have some more stories that we just like kind of didn't have time with. Is that the case? Cause
Oh yeah.
okay,
yeah.
well, you can definitely come back on here. If you want to, of course. Not gonna
No,
make you.
yeah. No, I'll definitely be back.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can do that whenever. We'll work it out. But yeah, you guys can expect Johnny to be back on here probably pretty soon, to be honest. Cause
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, whenever we're free, it shouldn't be that long. So yeah. Anything from you, Chris?
No, I thought this was a pretty good episode. I like the stories.
Yeah, I do too.
But yeah, like I
Very
said,
interesting.
you gotta look up the story about this woman.
I'm definitely gonna look into that after this for sure, because I'd never heard about that. Well, guys, this was Lucid Rain. This was Johnny, and we hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.